You knew Sinead O'Connor was right even then. People say, oh, you fucked up your career. They're talking about the career they had in mind for me. I don't know, no shame. Sinead O'Connor sung in a Mandinka her first hit song from her 1987 debut album The Lion and the Cobra. I feel no pain if the first claim was true, which for anyone raised Catholic anywhere is a skyscraper-sized if. The second was demonstrably false. Sinead O'Connor's life and career and art were about pain, exorcising it, escaping it, endlessly searching for ways to transcend her own and to spare future generations theirs. She never got relief, and she never got a reprieve. Loss and abuse visited her in wave after wave until the end. The news of her death at the startlingly young age of 56 years old, a year and a half after the death of her son Shane, feels at once like a shock and an inevitability. As an artist, she was the voice of an Ireland summoning the power of the sheikh of a theocracy. At the time of her birth in 1966, the Catholic Church has such control over the Irish government and divorce and remarriage were illegal. So her father had to emigrate to America after leaving her mother. Such a thing as a home for fallen women, operated by nuns, existed, a Madeline's Laundry, as they were known, and Sinead was sent to one at 15 years old age for shoplifting. It gave her a chance to work on her music, is the bright side. The first we saw on her in the United States was as a backup singer for World Party, a group that spun off from the legendary British-Irish band The Waterboys. She's there in the video for the first single, Private Revolution, and she steals the show, not just with a shaved head, but with the joy she expresses. You can hear her exactly, but there is ecstatic release in the dancing. The Lion and the Cobra was released the next year, and while Mandanica was the first hit single, it wasn't the first single. That would be Troy, whose video got a couple of plays on an early iteration of MTV's 112 Minutes. It's a 6.5-minute song, and that has movements, none of which would have gotten played on the radio. Troy is a whole of a song, the arrival of a singular artist, a statement. When I moved to Dublin in the late 80s, Sinead O'Connor was the only cool Irish person I could think of, says Irish actor, the writer Tara Flynn. Maybe Phil Lynott, but that was it. She was the coolest, most outspoken, most beautiful person you could think of. The Lion and the Cobra also contained I Want Your Hands on Me, a song that speaks to her coolness, a song whose remix was way ahead of the pop songs with rap break curves. She broke globally with a cover of Princess, Nothing Compares to You, but you know that already. You have heard how she turns a breakout song into expression of pure mooring, how she goes through all 5 Caballero stages of griefs and then go back and adds 3 more. It was huge in 1990s, inescapable really, in a way no artist could replicate. All but the very smartest artist would try anyway. Sinead didn't try. 1992, Am I Not Your Girl? Was a collection of jazz standards, and its promo tour brought her to Saturday Night Live, where the other thing you knew all about happened. You've seen the big moment, the fight, the real enemy, the ripping part of the photograph of Pop John Paul too. But have you watched the performance? The pure, clear-eyed rage, the determination, the absolute bravery of going on Saturday Night Live to do this song at all, much less a cappella, legendary. And so for the ripping of picture, we knew she was right. Even then, she spoke out against the Catholic Church. Flynn says, and that's something not many of us were ready to do. It wasn't. The global press tortured her. Frank Sinatra said, for her sake, we'd better never meet. That was pretty much that for her in the States, commercially anyway, and you got a sense that suited her fine. She continued to release albums, and they continued to contain both catharsis and pop perfection. Sometimes in the same song as in 2000's No Man's Woman. She also continued to look for relief from the pain of her abusive childhood and her perhaps more abusive relationship with fame. Though she was outspoken in her criticism of the Catholic Church, she never fully left faith behind. She was ordained a priest in the Irish Orthodox Catholic Church and called herself Mother Bernadette Mary for a time, before changing her name to Magda David, then converting to Islam and changing her name yet again to Shuhada Sedaka. 10 years ago, having heard that Miley Cyrus' Wrecking Ball video was inspired by her own Nothing Compares to You, O'Connor wrote Cyrus an open letter that deserves to be read in full. But here's a representative sample. None of the men ogling you give a shit about you. Do not be fooled. Man is the woman mistook lust for love. If they want you sexually, that doesn't mean they give a fuck about you. All the more true when you unwittingly give the impression you don't give much of a fuck about yourself, and when you employ people who give the impression they don't give much of a fuck about you either. No one who cares about you could support you being pimped, and that includes you yourself. Yes, I'm suggesting you don't care for yourself. That has to change. You ought to be protected as a precious young lady by anyone in your employ and anyone around you, including you. This is a dangerous world. We don't encourage our daughters to walk around naked in it because it makes them prey for animals and less than animals, a distressing majority to whom work in the music industry and its associated media. As for the effect the pop moment had on her career, she was also clear and frank. People say, oh, you fucked up your career. But they are talking about the career they had in mind for me. I fucked up the house in Antigua that the record company dudes wanted to buy. I fucked up their career, not mine. I mean, I had to make my living playing live, and I'm bored for live performance. Ireland on the day of Sinead's death is vastly different from the country she was born into. Abortion is legal, and gay marriage in the law of a land where homosexuality was illegal until 1993. A once repressive country has become one of the world's most progressive. There is no Ireland moving away from the church as we have without Sinead, says Flynn. There is no me speaking out about abortion. There are none of the many ways legislation has changed in the country. It's almost impossible to put into words what Sinead means to Ireland, says Ha O'Connor, who directed her 2015 video, 8 Good Reasons. She was a true artist who sang with her raging soul. She was perhaps our most gifted songwriter and musician. O'Connor recommends the recently O'Connor documentary Nothing Compares, directed by Catherine Ferguson, streamed on Hulu and Paramount. It's worth seeking it out to witness her fierce strength and unforgettable fire. It's such an immense loss. The church that she backed against is still very vivid in this country. The secrecy and the control of it is still revealing itself in people's family lives. Flynn says, the bullshit is still unfolding. They stood up square against it. People laughed. People ridiculed her because they weren't ready to stand up to the misogyny of the Catholic Church. But everything she said about them, everything that she said about mental health it was true. Everything. Tara Flynn and I get off the phone, and 20 minutes later she sent me a WhatsApp. A single word. Everything.